All right, NxT, AEW Dynamite, September 23rd.
Oh, Wednesday Night Wars, brother.
Oh my God, where do we start? NXT had a couple of matches with that a lot went on. They had that Battle Royal, they had that Gauntlet match. I guess we could start with the Battle Royal, was the first thing on the show.
Sure.
You had Candice. Oh, and what does the winner get? Number one contendership, right?
Correct.
You had Candice attack Tegan before the match even started. Then once the match gets going, which I kind of liked, you had Ripley and Raquel kind of both being like the big monsters in the match and dumping everybody. You had a few of the Casey Catanzaro spots. She's basically the Kofi Kingston of NXT. My only thing,
she's on the Naomi spot,
or Naomi also gets cool spots too. Yeah, I forgot. The freaky athletic spots that you see at every Battle Royal, Royal Rumble type match. Really more at the Rumbles. But yeah, my only thing, and it's not her fault. I just never liked the rule, the both feet touch the ground. I like the rule, but people used to not kind of take advantage. Because if you were really in that match, you would kind of do what Catanzaro did, right? You would just land on your butt and keep your feet up every time. Every single time. Or you land on one foot. And why not just land on one foot and hop around? Most of the people who get dumped out, they hang on the rope, right? They just hang on the rope and they fall on 2 feet when you can easily fall on 1 foot. You know, you have to kind of sell us. It was you almost never noticed it your whole life watching these matches. You never noticed it, but now that they're trying to get creative, they're kind of taking advantage of the rule. But once you show us, oh, you could just land on your butt and keep your feet up and you're not eliminated, why doesn't everyone just land on their ass every single time? Keep your feet up and just fucking bounce till you get to the steps.
Because the match would never end.
Exactly, the match would never end. The match would never end. I kind of want them to just be like, look, too many people are abusing the rules. I don't want to stifle creativity here, but it's too much. It's like, obviously they don't abuse it. So the wrestlers there's one person who took advantage of that rule, but it just makes, now that you know it's possible, right? She showed you, I'm landing on my butt and I wasn't eliminated, right? Or I'm landing on the steps, or I can hop around on one leg, which I think someone did like last year. I don't know if it was Naomi or someone was just hopping on 1 foot because 2 feet don't count. I mean, it's only 2 feet that counts. Yeah, so that's been bothering me. It's been like the last couple of years where people are trying to get more creative, and it's like, well, okay, that was fun that you did that. However, why doesn't every single person do it? They all idiots. They're dumb. They don't know the rules. Like, you know, to me, I think they should go with almost with like with the NFL touchdown, or you're down. If your butt touches, you're out. If 1 foot touches, you're out. Like, you know, find other ways to be creative. I still think I like when they fight on the steps, or when they jump to the barricade, or when they land on other people. I think that's awesome. But having that rule is just like, why not? Why wouldn't everyone abuse that rule? It's like when it's a DQ and people sit on the outside. You have a partner who's just watching you wrestle, but it's a DQ and you could just jump in whenever you want and not get in trouble for it and not cost anyone the match. It's always bothered me. Anyway. But all right, you had you had the Catanzaro butt spot. She gets back in the rules. Eventually you have Ripley and Gonzalez almost like trying to eliminate each other. They both fly out, so I guess that's gonna be a feud. Then you have Candice, you have Shotzi Blackheart, Dakota Kai, and Catanzaro in the ring. You get the Dakota Kai big boot to Catanzaro. She gets eliminated. Then you have Kai goes to kick Shotzi, the same move, that big boot, and her leg gets caught. Shotzi flips her out. Is it Shotzi that flips her out?
Yes.
Yeah, Shotzi flips her out. Then finally you get Candice and Shotzi on the steps. I thought this was a cool elimination, creative. They're kind of fighting on the steps, and Candice ends up like on her back, and she kind of just kicks her legs up and flips her out of the ring after they both kind of went over the top to kind of get position and whatever. So I thought that was a cool finish. These battle royals they're hardly ever good. You kind of just hope for a good finish and hope somebody gets over. So so I think they did a good job with Raquel. She looked strong, which was important. And Candice wins, so she gets what she needed out of it, and now she's the number 1 contender. So I don't mind. She's really good in the ring. So we at least know we're gonna get a good match. So yeah, a new challenger.
I mean, I thought this battle royal was actually fine for what it was meant to be. I agree with you that a lot of times I don't necessarily like the concept of battle royal for number 1 contendership matches, only because they've been used too often over recent history in the last few years. All companies do it. It's just a really easy, quick way to kind of establish that, do it all in one match. For this match, it seemed a little weird only because NXT, to fill out the battle royal, they had a lot of women that have never ever been shown on television. I know some of these women from other independent promotions, and some of them are actually really good. So I'm surprised that WWE has not featured them more. Hopefully, this is the gateway for them to be able to be introduced on TV and featured more. I kind of wrote in my notes, I kind of jokingly said, I don't know who half these women are, but I'm glad that Tom Phillips knows who all of them are, because, he keeps mentioning their names, and I'm like, they didn't get an intro, no chyron, no nothing. So at least I'm glad that Tom Phillips knows who they are. I was really impressed with Marina Shafir. Like, she's really worked out her body. She looks fantastic. She's gotten herself really well cut up. She looks good. I was looking at it and said, some of these girls that I've never seen before, they actually look, pretty impressive. Feature them on TV, even if it's doing jobs to some of the current talent that's being featured, but put these girls on television. You can use them in some of these roles. They'll be just fine. I looked at, I was like, poor Casey Catanzaro. I mean, Casey is a fantastic athlete. Don't get me wrong, but she is so tiny. I mean, she looks like a little girl out there with these women. She just looks like a child. She obviously does the whole, you already spoke about it. She did the whole Kofi Naomi gimmick, being out on the floor. This is one of those things that I'm tending not to like, because I think the WWE uses this in all their battle royals now. It's just kind of like a means to have a cool spot and do something creative. Not every battle royal needs it. I think it works for Casey only because of the fact that with Casey Catanzaro, there really isn't a whole lot. There isn't a whole lot of her physical size that's going to impress. So this spot and this moment was actually very cool for her, because it gives her a featured spot. It puts some emphasis on her, and the fact that she was one of the final 4 at the end it's going to shed light for her, and then hopefully help out Kayden Carter and their team moving forward as they hopefully get featured more on NXT TV. Raquel Gonzalez and Rhea Ripley, it was the perfect use of both of them. They're the biggest, strongest women in the match. They just went just nuts, just throwing everybody out, which is the right thing to do. Grab all of these people. Grab all these other women and just toss them out like sacks of garbage. Boom, 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 boom. Just throw them all out. Perfect. The fact that they threw each other out, that was perfect. That was perfect, because I would have been upset, because that's the first thing I thought to myself was like, how is Rhea Ripley going to get eliminated from this match? Because she's not going to win. So I'm like, how is she going to get eliminated? They figured out a perfect spot. Excellent. Very well done. Both of them looked great, and the fact that they eliminated each other, really perfect. When Casey eliminated Indy Hartwell, I just kind of, I was like, like, no. Indy, hopefully that leads to a one-on-one match because I think that would be a good, classic big man, little man match. I think that would work out really well. Shotzi Blackheart, I thought that she was really invisible in this match until the end. It almost seemed like the way that the story was being told is like Shotzi Blackheart, yeah, you could see the big green hair, if you look hard enough, but she wasn't featured in the match at all until the very end. There was probably like 6 people left before it's like, oh, there she is. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I was laughing because the cameras picked this up when it was Shotzi and Candice LeRae in the ring when they were the final 2. You can hear both referees verbally giving them their time cues. You can actually see them moving their lips, and I can hear them giving them a time cue, which is like, come on, man. You got to give them the Iggy some other way. I will say that the end sequence, these women used every inch of that ring, from the way that eliminations happened to which sides of the ring to Casey Catanzaro's spot, then to the end sequence when they were on the steps fighting. I thought that was a cool and unique spot. In all honesty, I agree with you. I thought that was well done. The bump that Shotzi Blackheart took, again, not sure if I liked it. It's a cool looking spot, but the fact that Casey Catanzaro did all that stuff, it almost seems like sometimes you may want to have like that one moment. To have Shotzi Blackheart take that emphatic bump, I was like, I'd save that for a match, not necessarily for the end spot of a battle royal, but be that as it may, it was well done.
Hey, and if you go back and watch it, for a second, if she wanted to, she could have just kept the feet up because she lands on her back and her feet are up, and then she kind of just
momentum is going to more than likely when you're taking a bump like that, momentum is going to dictate that your legs are going to go down. I'm sure that if I watched the match back when Casey Catanzaro landed on her butt, I'm sure that it was a very soft land for her that she could control her body much better. Candice LeRae wins. That was perfect. It was the right person to win because, again, with Io Shirai being the champion, she needs to have matches like this because is Candice LeRae going to win the title? No, she's not. But these are the types of matches that are going to be good for both workers because Io Shirai is fantastic, but at the same time, you need to keep feeding her opponents. And I think that Candice LeRae being next is a good pick. Obviously, they still have, Candice LeRae still keeps her heat, taking out Tegan Nox before the match starts. So you still got heat there. She's going to have some beef with Shotzi Blackheart at the end of this because, she basically cost Shotzi her opportunity in the end. So it's good. It's good storytelling. Listen, it's not supposed to be the greatest match in the world, but it served its purpose. For that, well done.
Okay, you had Shira and Thunderosa versus Diamante and Ivelisse. You had for a lot of this match, Ivelisse and Diamante kind of beating up on these girls, like being the physical ones and almost waking them up a little bit. And eventually, Thunderosa does all her cool shit. Shira wakes up. She comes in, hits a Falcon Arrow. I thought that was cool. She's about to get the win right there. Ivelisse comes in out of nowhere, makes the save. Thunderosa kind of throws Ivelisse out the ring, and that's where Shira hits that big knee that looks awesome. I love that knee.
Yeah, but
I don't know which one I prefer, that or the. I think we talked about this before. The Falcon Arrow. She does them both nicely.
The thing that I've always said about Shira that bothers me in the end of her matches, that realistically that knee should have never ever taken place because the finish should have been when Thunderosa and Shira did the double team on Diamante. That was the finish.
Oh, yeah,
the fact that Ivelisse jumped in and broke up that count, I was like, it's unnecessary. That's the finish. Leave well off alone. And then, Shira still has to get that knee in. I'm like, establish your finish. Thunderosa hit her move, and then Shira hit her move, and yet Ivelisse breaks up the count. That's the finish. That's the finish. So it is what it is. I didn't like that at all. Because it's just that you got to establish what your move is. If you hit like a suit, the big Falcon Arrow after the whole big comeback that Shira does, and either the woman, whoever she's wrestling still kicks out, and then she gives the running knee, and that's enough to beat her. I'm like, no, you got no, just no.
I don't think I minded that much. I think they both moves are good enough to be a finish for me. So I don't.
Yeah,
I guess her picking one is the problem. I guess. Or maybe we just need to see more matches.
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't need to see more matches to figure that spot out. I'd be like, listen, when you make your comeback, if you want to use the knee, you can use either or, right? To finish the match. You can use either or. The problem is that to use one that looks devastating and the person kicks out and then you immediately hit the other one is like, pick your move. When you hit it, that's the end of the match. If you need to use both, that's a means to get the other girl over to say that you needed to use both moves. That's a story that's a good storyline piece. When you have to use both moves on every woman you wrestle, then you're burying both moves. Whether you think it, whether you don't believe it, you're actually burying both moves. You know, you use one or the other to beat 90% of your opponents, and then every now and again you hit the first one, and the other one, and her opponent kicks out, and then she has to run and hit the next move to win. Like for every single match, no, not. This was. I'll let you finish before I go on.
No, I was just gonna say that at least we know we're starting to establish some women. These are 4 women that are featured heavily. I don't know if what's going on with Thunderosa, how long she'll be around, but she's around right now and she's doing a good job, so that's good. We know Britt Baker. She wasn't 100%. She couldn't have a real match, but she must be getting close. They let her do some physicality at the pay-per-view, so we'll see her back soon, hopefully. You had Big Swole, so that's 6. Then you have a bunch of the young girls who need more work, and some people come back from injury. You got Nyla Rose lurking in the background, and I'm sure there'll be some more focus, and some things will start making sense with the women.
Listen, for AEW's sake, they need to find a way to get Thunder Rosa full time in AEW for their sake. Because realistically, I will say this: feel any way you feel about Hikaru Shida, because I'm not completely sold on her, but I'm not completely throwing her out either. Just like the way that I feel about Riho and some of these other women that look like small little girls beating Nyla Rose, I think that's ridiculous. I can buy Shida a little more. In all honesty, I think that for AEW's sake, I would say sign Thunder Rosa if you can. Sign Rosa, bring her in, and then put the AEW women's title on her. Because she's going to be able to have great matches. Because then when Britt Baker comes back, when AEW finally, figures out what they're going to do with Nyla Rose, when they figure out, with Ivelisse and Diamante, I like them both. The problem is that this tag team match was much better than the singles match from the week before. The problem is that it still wasn't great. It was better, but you could still tell there's still a lot of choppiness and just a lot of stuff around this match that I'm thinking like, I don't want it to be silky smooth either. I want it to look like it's a struggle and a contest, but at the same time, it still kind of looks like either they're not understanding what the other's saying or somebody's not cooperating. It's just like, they're just moments where I just feel like, ladies, just cooperate with one another. We already know who's going over. Just cooperate and try to make the match look good. Because guess what? This is a showcase for Hikaru Shida. For me, as much as AEW is totally sold in on her and they want to feature her as the centerpiece of the division, she doesn't jump out in the screen. When Thunder Rosa comes out, she commands the room. And then with Ivelisse and Diamante, if you position them well enough, these two could be women that can have really good matches with anybody, in the division, and then prop them up for title matches later on as a means to feed the champion. But you can't do that if you put the 4 of them in the ring at the same time, and it still looks disjointed. It looks unorganized, and it looks like either, again, they're not communicating well with each other, or they're not cooperating. It's, and I'm like, cooperation is the key to make this thing work at the end. And I don't know. It's just, I see the match, and Ivelisse and Diamante did the right thing. They jump started the match. It was the right thing to do in that moment, because Ivelisse and Diamante, yeah, they're the heels, but their opponents are the AEW and NWA Women's Champion individually. So it makes sense that the heels are going to want to jumpstart the match to kind of get them down. It was the right thing to do. When Ivelisse and Diamante were working with Shira, it looked more of like that whole, go out to the floor. It's the whole, what I think is like the AEW style. It's like every match goes out to the floor. Very rarely do I see matches in AEW not go out to the floor. Again, this match did not need to go out to the floor at all, but they do it again. As soon as Thunderosa tags in, that's when the wrestling match began. Then you started seeing like some wrestling. Ivelisse had a brain fart out there, because I can tell, like, Ivelisse tagged, Diamante tags Ivelisse, and they do a cool double team spot. Then Ivelisse goes into the corner. She's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm the legal person. Thank God the referee remembered. Because Diamante just went. I'm like, ladies, come on. It was literally like 3 minutes into the match. It's like, come on. It was just not good. Like I said, I like Ivelisse and Diamante as a team. That's the right way to position the two of them at the moment. I wrote here in one of my notes that even though Thunderosa is the visiting champion, for lack of a better term, she's not part of the AEW full-time roster. She should not be the babyface in peril. She should not have been the babyface in peril, only because I think that the money's with her, not with Shida. And I think it would have made more sense for Diamante and Ivelisse to get the heat on Shida. So when Thunderosa comes in, she could clean house. Shida would still get the win, because as the AEW Women's Champion, you still want to establish her. She can get the win, but you want to position Shida as being a little more vulnerable, only because then you can have Ivelisse and Diamante chase after her, and you could start making some stories, some one-on-one stories with the AEW Women's title. So I didn't like the fact that Thunderosa was playing the babyface in peril in this match. Again, ice cold tags all over the place. They just don't know how to do the hot tags. Shida comes in, does a really, really lousy comeback. Then she just lets the heel tag. So the heels just tag. They get thwarted by the baby faces, and now we're back to square one. It's like the match started all over again. Once you get the hot tag, the clock is ticking. Get to the finish. Once that hot tag is established, that's all you're doing. The clock begins, you got to get to the finish. It's like bad looking double teams by Ivelisse and Diamante to Shida. Some miscommunication there, just looked bad. The fact that, again, but when I was telling you about the finish, Thunderosa hits the Death Valley Driver, and then Shida hits the Falcon Arrow. That's the finish. There's no way Diamante's kicking out. Ivelisse should not be interfering at that point. Ivelisse should have been taken out of the match. That's your finish. Boom, flat, done. Ivelisse comes in, breaks it up, and then what do we have? Another 20 seconds of action. And then what does Rosa do? Rosa throws her out to the floor, and then Shida hits the knee, which the camera always misses because of the fact that she always has her back to the hard cam when she does it. I understand why, because if it's the other way around, it'll become see-through, because you could see that she's really not hitting her. But there's got to be. It almost seems like the camera always misses it because there's too much action going on. The Death Valley Driver to the Falcon Arrow was the finish. That knee was unnecessary. Again, this is what I wrote in my notes. This was better than last week's match, but I was still very disappointed at the end. Just something, whether it's miscommunication or lack of cooperation, something is a miss. It was a miss last week in the singles match between Thunderosa and Ivelisse, and it was a miss again in this tag team match. So I don't know. I kind of feel bad because, again, like I said, I want Ivelisse and Diamante to succeed. I really want them to succeed, because the more people in AEW's women's division that they can get over, like really get over, it's going to make everybody look better, because they don't have a very strong division. And when you have matches like this, it only reinforces that. It only reinforces that thought that it's not a very good division overall.
Okay. So thanks to Fandango, we got a. The best part of that,
right.
that little moment in the back when Fandango's is trying to explain the match is when who was it, Danny Burch?
He had to translate it to Regal.
Yeah, when Burch kind of translates it, but they're kind of using their own little UK style, whatever.
Right.
It's still English, but he kind of changes some words around. All of a sudden, Regal's like, "Oh yeah, okay, cool, I got it."
You're like, oh, okay, carry on.
Like, yeah, I thought that was funny. But either way, it's Mendoza and Eichner versus Burch and Roderick Strong. So it's like one member of, I guess, the 4 top teams, and then you're gonna have the winners face each other. The full tag team's gonna face each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the winner is the number 1 contender. Yeah. So that's what's supposed to happen.
God.
Either way, obviously the people involved are pretty good. So it felt pretty normal. It felt like these guys have teamed before. Well, for me, let me see. Oh yeah, I thought it was funny. It's like, okay, well let's kind of show that we're not gonna get along or whatever. They're giving each other these like stiff tags, whatever, just to kind of play this. I don't think needs to be done every time. Like it's like always done when you got 2 random people together. You just have to kind of fuck with each other. Well, to me, the best moment of this match is Strong gets the hot tag and just destroys everybody. And he looked awesome. You have like kicks and backbreakers and all types of craziness. So I thought that was pretty cool. What's the final spot? I know it's Burch. Burch hits.
He hits Mendoza with like a RKO cutter move from
like some
top
kind
rope.
of cutter.
Yeah, he hung on the top rope and then he hit him with some cutter move and he beat him.
Yeah. I mean, either way, I'm cool with that finish. You have Burch and Burch, Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch against Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish. And the winner is gonna go to TakeOver. Who do you think is going?
Retribution. I don't know.
Retribution.
No, it's gonna be. Listen, this match is just. Oh goodness! This match when I saw it, I just thought to myself, was like, why?
Why are we having it? Yes.
Why are we having this match? Right.
I agree.
Why? Like it's just. So Fandango's, promo and everything that he's acting like Sherlock Holmes doing the really bad English accent, and Regal basically he's like chastising him, no bad English accents. So Fandango explains the match to him. Regal looks like, what the hell are you talking about? Burch translates it to him, and all of a sudden, all right, carry on. The match goes on. I listen. The reason why I don't like this is because you know how I feel about Undisputed Era, and you know how I feel about Imperium. And with all due respect, Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch and the combination of Raul Mendoza and his name escaped, Joaquin Wilde with the Legado de Fantasma. One thing is not like the others. You understand? So to have Roderick Strong and Danny Burch working as a team against Eichner and Mendoza, it almost seems like, okay, there's a better way to get to this. Why don't you just have all 4 teams wrestle each other in different tag team matches, a round robin type tournament? There's a lot more ways to do this that can be a little more serious. This was meant to be funny.
Well, Lou, this is what you said before. It's hard to book Imperium. You want to kind of beat them without beating them. So this doesn't feel like you beat them, even though you did beat them.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? It's, again, another match where Imperium was in a tag team match last week for the tag team titles, which I was really upset about because, again, I don't think that Breezango, with all due respect to Tyler Breeze and Fandango, them being the NXT Tag Team Champions actually says a lot about the division as a whole, and it doesn't say anything very good.
Well, the division is weak right now. It's
Just what
obvious.
I'm saying, with all due respect to them, with them being the champions, knowing that you have Undisputed Era and you have Imperium there, that actually says something poor about their booking. If those guys, the comedy team, is the champions. I like Danny Burch and Oni Lorcan. They're a good team. Do I like the idea of having Undisputed Era versus those, versus Lorcan and Burch for the number one spot for the titles? The answer is no. No. It's what? No. Because you already know who's going to win the match prior to it happening.
What if they don't win?
Really? You're no.
They're giving Roderick Strong an opportunity.
No, here's my deal, right?
Opportunities, baby.
If I was booking this, the way that I would book it is I'd have it be a round robin type thing, where obviously at the end it's going to be Imperium versus the Undisputed Era. That goes to a no contest, and then you work a triple threat tag team match, where Breezango, I don't know how you would book them if they were going to win this match, but it would have to be some kind of breakout thing. Ultimately, again, either Imperium or Undisputed Era can be tag team champions for as long as they need, because they're clearly the best teams. They're just clearly, everybody else is always a step below. But anyway, I'm getting off topic here. So Roderick Strong is the only one who gets an entrance, which is the right thing to do. Roderick Strong is the only one that gets an entrance. And I say this with all due respect to Roderick Strong. But part of me, I love the Undisputed Era entrance, but it seems to work more when it's for Adam Cole. It's almost like when Roddy comes out there, it almost seems like, doing the exact same presentation. It is what it is, but knowing that
I like when they go out on their own, because you get to see their section of it, because they always do the same part. However, you don't notice because you only notice Adam Cole.
Oh yeah, I mean, I noticed all four of them, but with this, it's just like kind of weird to me. Again, I just wrote, why did WWE allow Fandango to make this match of all people?
Because when you're the champ, you have some pull, baby.
Yeah, sure you do. Yeah, sure. I looked up at Fabian Eichner that he did this one thing, and it really bothered me because Eichner and Bartel usually so smooth in the ring, but it was like one of the worst, up and overs, where Roderick Strong's running off the ropes and Eichner literally swings his arm like if Roderick Strong was the height of Andre the Giant. Andre could have ran the ropes and not had to duck to get underneath that arm. I was like, dude, you shoot for his head, and if Roddy doesn't get underneath it, it's on Roddy. Like, he's got to get underneath the arm. The fact that he threw his arm like this, I was like, come on, brother. No, this is bad. I wrote, this match is actually not that bad, considering these guys are not, they're not usual partners. It was not a bad match. But, I love how the announcers were trying to sell us on Breezango. Oh, they're comedy guys, but they're trying to become like real wrestlers. I'm like, oh, that's like, oh God. I don't need the announcers trying to sell me on Breezango. You know what you need to do? You need to change the way Breezango works in the ring, and let that be the selling point. You said that Roderick Strong got a hot tag. I was like, that's like the most awkward, ice cold, shitty tag I'd ever seen.
Well, it was supposed to be a hot tag.
Birch literally just like threw himself in the corner, and then Roddy tagged himself in. I understand Roddy came in and he was on fire and he did all his stuff.
He was the guy on fire.
He came in like a house of fire and took care of business. But just whatever. Listen, it was a so-so match. I think for me, the reason why it bothers me is only because, again, I'm really big on impressions and positioning. And the thing about it is that WWE's done a fantastic job over the course of these guys' existence as personas, positioning the Undisputed Era and Imperium as being the top tag teams in NXT. And the fact that it almost seems like booking-wise, they're trying to level them off and book them with everybody else evenly. I'm like, no, because you're not elevating the other guys doing that. You're actually bringing those guys down big time. And what ends up happening is that then if you devalue Undisputed Era and you devalue Imperium, which is, Imperium unfortunately is already devalued, quite frankly, after losing to Breezango last week, you're not doing yourselves any favors. You got to book this a whole lot differently. It was meant to be funny, pseudo comedic, pseudo creative, but whatever. It was just awkward and not very good at the end. Do I think that Undisputed Era versus Lorcan and Birch is going to be a good match? Yes, it'll be a good match, but I don't expect the Undisputed Era to lose. So it kind of bothers me a little bit because it just kind of seems like it could, no matter what the match looks like, the fact that I kind of feel very strongly of who's going to win already kind of makes the match not very important for me to watch.
Okay, let's go to Adam Page against Evil Uno.
Oh, boy.
You didn't like this match?
I'll tell you why.
Huh.
I'll tell you why. I'll let you go first.
Well, to me, it's pretty standard and, a little bit of back and forth. You do have Dark Order trying to get involved and Evil Uno kind of like telling them, I got this. Don't worry about it. Then that's pretty much Hangman's chance to take over the match, and he slams him on the apron. And from then on, it's we already know what's about to happen once he sent those guys to the back. It's Hangman, trying to find the right position to hit a buckshot lariat like he always does. And of course he gets it, and clean win in the middle, 1, 2, 3. I thought it was fine. So what went wrong here for you?
Okay. Let's put it this way. And I'm going to give detail, but the reason why this match doesn't work is because AEW is concerned too much about trying to put on good matches, good long matches, not understanding the business of the match. The business of this match is to make Adam Page look strong. When you put him in a position where he has to work 20-minute match with Evil Uno, with all due respect to Uno, the way that he's positioned is he's positioned as a minion of the Dark Order. And that's the reason why I'm like, okay, for a match to go whatever, I say 20 minutes. It's not really 20 minutes. I say 15. You could cut the match in half and get the point across. It's just the match takes too long. Adam Page is struggling too much against guys who are positioned as underneath talents. And the story that you're telling is the story of Adam Page versus Kenny Omega, right? That's the story that you're leading to. And the thing is that if Adam Page is having such difficulty against these underneath guys and he's being positioned as a top star, then I have a hard time believing that he's going to be able to beat Omega.
Maybe he won't beat Omega.
Maybe not, but maybe not. But the thing is that your AEW's doing the wrong thing by Adam Page, having him work these types of matches on television. I get what they're trying to do, but again, Evil Uno can work good 7-8 minute match, get the point across, and just go home. So anyway, I'll get to this. The first thing I laughed was that Kenny Omega comes out to commentary. He gets the whole big pyro presented, the whole big shebang, gets everything. I'm like, holy goodness, man, just got everything. Just everything. It's like, come on, man.
That's his entrance, man.
He's coming out for commentary, for goodness sake. Excalibur, he kind of did the same thing that he did last week, where he's like, oh, this was supposed to be originally a tag team match between you and Paige against, Uno and Grayson, but you refused to take the match on. Nice touch. Nice little touch. That's all you need. Just make a mention of it. That's it. So that's okay. Uno comes out and, I wrote here he had like 20 people with him. That's an exaggeration. He probably had about 5 or 6 with him. Mm-hmm. And then this is ridiculous. So Uno comes out. He has all the Dark Order people with him. Then they scurry to a corner so that Hangman can come out and do his entrance. He comes into the ring, and then they reposition themselves on the stage. You're the heels, dude. Just stand there. Just stand there looking threatening, and Paige is just going to – and he has to kind of look at y'all like, okay, all right, I see you. That was stupid, but I was like, whatever. That's just all minor stuff. Kenny Omega talking all over Hangman's intro. Please don't do that. I don't care if it seems like a subtle heel thing or you're just like trying to disrespect him. It's distracting. Let me at least hear Justin Roberts give his introduction, and then you can start talking. That's a minor thing. Let's see here. I thought the Colt Cabana looked really good standing on the apron. Like, yo, my man, he's always been big, but he looks really good, looking in great shape. I had a note here with Hangman. He keeps hamming it up to the crowd. I'm like, Adam, don't do that. Think about the psychology of the match that you're in. You're in the ring against Evil Uno, and you got maybe, I don't know, 6 people out on the floor that are not your friends, and they're willing to jump in and beat your ass. Don't ham to the crowd. You psychologically understand that you have to communicate that you're in a dangerous situation, if for nothing else to help the Dark Order guys get over. I love the fact that the crowd is chanting cowboy stuff. They cleaned up their language now. They can't say cowboy shit anymore. Now they're saying cowboy stuff. I laughed when I heard that. I'm starting to get sick of this spot, because in every match that Evil Uno has, he always does that, where he grabs the foot of his opponent and then he tosses it over to the referee, which is almost always Rick Knox, and Rick Knox catches it and holds it so that then Uno can do another offensive move. And you got to cut that stuff out. I don't like it. The fact that Kenny Omega was stating that he hated Rick Knox in the Indies, don't say that. Just don't. It has nothing to do with what's going on in AEW. Don't say it. My dad. So here's where kind of the sequence starts to begin to go out of sync here. So Adam Page hits the pescado off the top rope, hits a moonsault off the apron, and then he goes for an off the top rope dive on Evil Uno. Dude, too much. Give him one of those moves, toss him back in the ring, and keep it moving. Evil Uno is not the one. He's not the guy you should be doing that to. If you're doing all of these moves and you still can't beat Uno, come on. Just, no, don't do that. It was so funny how, Kenny Omega, when Page got tossed out to the stage and the Dark Order guys started swarming around, all of a sudden Kenny Omega was like, "Oh, I'm concerned for my friend." And then he was like, "Nah, whatever. He'll be all right. He'll be all right." Little subtle stuff, but I was like, all right, they're still teasing that. I don't understand why Evil Uno was sending the minions back to the locker room. Dude, they're the only reason why you got control of the match, because they're out there causing a distraction. Then you want to make it one-on-one. What do you think's going to happen? Then Hangman hits a slam on the apron, followed by a fall-away slam, and then a running shooting star press for a 2 count. That's 6 big moves already you've hit, and you still can't beat this freaking guy. Why? Then Uno's right back on offense, right? He hits a flying senton off the top rope. After taking all of that, immediately back on offense. Come on, dude. Like, seriously. You've just buried everything. Come on. Seriously. End this match already. End it. Then again, the second time in the same match where they want to give the opponent's boot to the referee. Thank God that Rick Knox slipped, that he missed it on that occasion. Hangman hits a power bomb for a 2 count. Then he hits a buckshot lariat and wins. I'm like, listen, I like Hangman, but AEW just does not know how to book this. They just don't know how to book a match. I'm sorry. Adam Page versus Evil Uno should not have been all of these things are not necessary for Adam Page to beat Evil Uno. All of those moves that he pulled out, those are matches where he's against the top tier dudes. Evil Uno, sorry, brother, you're not that guy. And just, again, I get what they're trying to do. They want to have these long matches, but damn it, you're picking the wrong opponents. It's kind of the same thing they did last week with Frankie Kazarian against Adam Page, even though that match was better and it made more sense, but it got long in the tooth for the same thing. because the end sequence they just did too many things. This week you put Paige against Evil Uno, who perception-wise is a lesser opponent than Frankie Kazarian, and yet Adam Page has to do more things to beat him. No. Like I said, cut half that crap out, and the match would have been just fine. I thought the match was bad for that reason. Because if he hit Uno with about half a dozen moves that should have killed him, that buckshot lariat looks like crap by comparison. It just looks ineffective. He powerbomb to the floor, the pescados, the dives. I mean, geez, what more? The buckshot lariat is like, oh yeah, whatever. It's like a wrist lock by comparison. Simplify the match so that the buckshot lariat is the biggest spot in the match, so that it makes sense and you sell it and it emphasizes that is his big move. They screwed it up. I understand what they're trying to do, but ultimately this match was bad. They just don't know how to book their stuff right.
All right, let's go to Jake Atlas versus Tommaso Ciampa.
Another bad match.
I knew you were going to say that. I'm glad you said it because at least you're consistent. Ciampa got his ass kicked for like 6-7 minutes. Didn't get not a lick, not nothing. Not nothing. I will say, though, it's interesting that Tommaso Ciampa is wears a retribution mask to the ring every night. So be on the lookout.
No. Keep him as far away from retribution as humanly possible. No,
that mask, once the hoodie comes off, I'm like, oh shit.
Nope.
He's part of retribution. What's gonna be his name?
Tommaso, stay far away from
what's
retribution.
Gonna be
Please.
You know he needs a cool
far
retribution
away.
name. Like motor. Like machine face.
No. Just call him Blackbeard because that's what he looks like with that beard from the guy from Pirates of the Caribbean.
I like his beard. Yeah, sweet.
I do too.
Sweet beard with the braids in it. But eventually, Ciampa cuts him off. Finally, after what I thought was 5 minutes, but it felt like 10 minutes. Cuts him off. Hits Willow's Peak. Pins him. Pops up at 1. Starts talking, jaw-jacking. What was he saying to him? Anything relevant?
Saying, you want to face the champ? You hungry? Come on, boom. And he started beating him up some more.
Okay. Then this was confusing. He drops down his knee pad. So I'm like, oh shit, he's gonna knee him in the face. Nope. Then but he goes for the fairy tale ending, which is not a knee move. It's almost like a pedigree.
His knee must have itched.
Huh?
His knee must have itched. He needed some air. I don't know.
Yeah, something happened there, right? Like, did he?
I don't know.
Maybe he was going for something with a knee involved, and it just didn't. They didn't execute. And the fairy tale ending wasn't executed perfectly either, because that's a straight up almost like a pedigree, right? But he picks him up.
Yeah.
And then flattens him out. Boom. But he kind of twisted. Atlas was twisted and landed on his back. And I was like, they called it – they tried to clean up. They're like, oh, that was a modified fairy tale ending there.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, probably Atlas –
it still looked good to me.
It looked good in the end. It didn't look dangerous.
I was just confused about the knee. Why did he pull his knee pad down? I thought he was going to knee him, and it was very dramatic.
Yeah, I thought he was going to do the Adam Cole running knee on him, just like –
Yeah, I thought something was going to happen with the knee. But either way, not sure what was the purpose of this match. Were you trying to make Atlas look good or Ciampa look good? But it was confusing. I don't know. It was like Atlas beat his ass. Ciampa had no answers. But Ciampa basically beat him. Basically
3 moves.
Yeah, he hits 3 moves. He goes, I can essentially beat you whenever I want, but I let you beat on me for 10 minutes. That's the story that was told. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I agree with that, and I don't know if it served its purpose. And I don't know if you want to be doing this with Jake Atlas when you haven't even built them up yet to Ciampa's level.
Correct.
It's all very confusing.
This is the kind of match that I wish the WWE would have taken the approach with Ciampa this week that they did with him last week when he wrestled against Desmond Troy, I believe his name was. He wrestled against Troy, and he sold to Troy's level. He sold a little bit, but he didn't sell a lot. This week with Atlas, it almost seemed like he was running away from Atlas at one point in the match, and I just thought to myself, why? Atlas could come in the beginning of the match, and he could be full of piss and vinegar, and he could get the first 2 or 3 minutes on offense because he's the babyface that got beat up by the heel. It makes sense. As soon as Atlas makes his first mistake and Champa gets in on offense, that's it. Atlas, Champa can make one mistake, and Atlas can kind of get a little bit of offense in at the end, another 30 seconds or a minute or whatever, and then Champa puts him down and keeps him down. This match was not good because of the fact that Atlas got too much offense in. Again, Ciampa's running away from him, and it gets to a point where I'm like, I don't believe Jake Atlas as this badass tough guy. I just don't. And there's something about Tommaso Ciampa who looks every bit that badass, tough guy part, running away from somebody who really should be smiling and working. He is like the epitome of a white meat babyface. I didn't like the match for that reason. I don't think it served its purpose. Ciampa wins, but so what? Like, the way that this match I would have structured this match to where, again, Atlas gets the first few minutes in on offense. Ciampa takes over, puts him down, keeps him down, and then he starts beating on him again. He wants to basically repeat the same thing he did to him in the first match. Kyle O'Reilly comes in and saves him. Again, continue the story from last week. Kyle O'Reilly comes and saves Atlas again, and this time he runs Ciampa off and saves Atlas from really getting super hurt for real. And then you tell that story, because then later on in the show, as we continue on here, we'll explain why. But just bad booking. They overcomplicated this, wanting to make Atlas look good when that's not the purpose of Jake Atlas's role in this particular picture. He's the white meat babyface who wants to prove that he's tough. He's not ready yet, and then the big boys kick his ass, and he needs somebody else to save him. Plain and simple. Nobody's gonna get mad at Jake Atlas for that. He gives a good effort, but just Ciampa's better. That's just it. Because it was poorly done.
All right, how about that that Matt Hardy private party Jericho little promo where Matt Hardy's walking out. I guess he doesn't officially know who attacked him. I thought right there when Jericho kind of was talking shit to him after he was attacked last week that pretty much sealed the deal. But Matt Hardy's basically saying, look, this is what I saw. I was talking to this person. I was talking to that person. I didn't see who attacked me. Jericho's going to come out. He's going to be like, bro, if I wanted to attack you, I would do it to your face. Like, saying I pretty much, he wants the attention, basically. Like, I want to be celebrated for fucking you up with this bat. Like, basically, Matt Hardy's like, I'll take all you guys on. I don't care. Whatever. Then you have Mark Quinn, who's going to kind of jump in and say his little piece. But it's really Isaiah Cassidy's moment because he's the one that's going to call out Jericho. And they had that tag match, right? Last week? What was it?
Last week they had.
Yeah, last week where Cassidy almost pinned Jericho.
Yeah, which I don't understand for the life of me why it even got that far. But anyway.
Hey, it's fine because you're helping the young guys get over. It doesn't hurt Jericho. There's nothing that can hurt Jericho. 30 years in.
You and I see things slightly different.
I think Jericho's doing just fine.
Okay. I'll agree to disagree because that's not that we're not going to debate that right now.
Well, either way, they're setting up a match with Isaiah Cassidy and Chris Jericho. To me, it feels like a big deal. It feels huge for this kid to get an opportunity against Jericho. Instead of just having the older guy go out there and face younger guys and then just lose to them. We know that it feels special that a 23-year-old or 24-year-old is going to go out there. He's going to fight Jericho in his 30th year. He's going to lose, but he can still be better off,
I agree.
And that's what I think they're hoping to get from this is that he'll be a little bit better off than he was before just for being, getting a chance to work a match with Jericho.
Well, I mean, this whole thing. Oh, first off, with Matt Hardy, I guess for me, it's like that promo that he cut a couple of weeks back after he took that really ugly bump at the AEW pay-per-view, and he said he was going to go away. Apparently, that must have been false advertising because he's still here. He's on TV every week, even though he's only cutting promos, but he's on TV every week. Do I necessarily need to see Matt Hardy in this spot with Private Party? No, but I get what they're doing. They're utilizing one storyline to then get them to another. Um, I understand again why Matt Hardy's out there because Private Party, when they try to speak for themselves, I mean, the promo they cut last week was awful. So I understand why Matt Hardy's there to speak on their behalf. I always laugh now because anytime that Chris Jericho comes out, no matter what it's for, it could be for a run-in, and he needs to stand on the apron for the 3 minutes until the crowd sings Judas, and it's just like, listen, that's getting old already. Like, shit, I don't need to hear that all the time. It's gotten old.
So Lou, you don't like it?
Not every single time. If he comes out for a match, fine. If he comes out for a match, I get. But for every,
you're not supposed to like it. You're not supposed to like anything about Chris Jericho. You're supposed to hate it. You're supposed to be sick of it. You're supposed to be like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? This arrogant prick needs everyone to sing his praises and sing his song.
But he's the thing about it is that he's a heel, and yet he gets the biggest baby face reaction because the people are singing his song.
Well, they're singing his song, but I don't think that's the biggest. He doesn't get the biggest pops on the. It's not even close. But it's almost like
it's ass backwards, man. It just is.
I think it makes perfect sense. I mean, you can't control the fans. If the fans are cheering for you, but he's like these damn gladiator movies, and you have like the villain or the king, whatever, and he's like, oh yeah, and everyone in those big theater, whatever shits.
Maximus.
And you see everyone cheering your name, and you're like, yes, I live for this. Just because you're a bad guy don't mean that you don't love the cheer of the crowd, and you don't want all the attention for you.
The thing about it is that ultimately, the way that it would work if it was to be like a real like heel type situation is the fans think the song sucks, but yet Jericho's minions are singing it like it's the greatest thing ever, and they sweeten the sound as a heelish thing to do.
Yeah,
the fact is that the fans in the audience, the thing is the fans in the audience are actually singing the song. The wrestlers are doing it too. So it's like, again, it comes across as a heel thing to me because it gives me like that go away heat. Like, I'm just like, I wish I could fast forward those 2 minutes, but I can't because I'm watching it live. But it's getting old. That's just all it is for me. It's getting really, really old. When Jericho starts cutting the promo on Matt Hardy, it's a good typical Chris Jericho promo. Very good. He's cutting his, cutting up on Matt Hardy, giving him a piece of the business. Mark Quinn comes out and cuts a promo, and he sucked. There's no other way to say it. His promo sucked. It was awful. And I'm like, I think that Mark Quinn is a freak athlete. He's a really, really good athlete. Lousy promo, at least in this occasion. Cassidy takes the mic, and Cassidy cuts a half-decent promo. Not great, but it certainly was way better than Mark Quinn's promo. And he gets his point across. The thing is about Mark Quinn, and again, this is just a matter of experience. This isn't a knock on him. It's just a matter that when he speaks, he's still speaking in his own in his own regular voice. Like he hasn't figured out yet like that bass, like that real diaphragmatic, like man ballsy voice to cut a promo. He's still talking. He sounds like a boy when he's talking. Got his point across. I agree with you. It will be a big match for Isaiah Cassidy. It's only a match. The reason why I kind of get a little bit with Jericho is only because of the fact that with him, this is a match where I'm really hoping that Jericho really dominates this match for the most part because he needs to use his experience and his ingenuity to be able to keep Cassidy down. Cassidy's a great athlete. He's got a lot of youth, and should be able to outlast Jericho the longer the match goes. But it's about using smarts. Cheat. Like this is where I don't want to have a match where Isaiah Cassidy can legitimately get close to beating Jericho, because it's not. I don't think that in the end it's going to help Isaiah Cassidy out, because those guys are still very much in the elementary part of their development, and a guy like Jericho can give him a good match, teach him how to do some, teach him something in there that he can take as a nugget of wisdom to take moving forward. I'm not saying bury the kid, but if this match becomes like a close to 50-50 match and Isaiah Cassidy has multiple moments in the match where it looked like he could have beaten Jericho, no. It's just
Isn't
like,
that what's going to bring excitement to the match? Those false finishes from Cassidy?
No. I think the excitement could be a matter of the kid fighting from underneath. He might get one moment where he gets it, one. But if it's like 2, 3, 4 moments in the match, no good. Because again, you have to, for Jericho, he has to work at the level. It's a matter of working to the correct level. If Chris Jericho's a main event guy and Isaiah Cassidy is, for lack of a better term, a prelim dude, you got to sell to his level. If he's going to sell for Isaiah Cassidy like he would sell for Cody or Omega or Page or somebody like that, then the match is no good. The match is no good because Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn are not going to be featured as main event players the following week. They're not ready for that spot yet. So you can have a good match, but it's still got to be at a level to where make the kid look good, but not so good that now you're trying to make him look even with main event players in AEW, because those guys, and they'll be the first ones to tell you if they're honest, they're not there yet.
So why don't we go to that? Ridge Holland had a few things. He had like a package. I guess this is like a reintroduction. I guess he disappeared because I remember we were talking a lot about him some months back, and I guess he vanished, and now we're talking about him again finally. But he had a nice package, which I felt like we've seen before, or something similar, where they introduced him and now they're reintroducing him.
Now, did he wrestle a match? Did he wrestle a match on NXT this week?
Yeah, he had a quick 2-minute squash.
Okay. Only because I think I may have missed that one.
Yeah, it was.
I did get the video package though.
Yeah, it was really nothing crazy. Comes in almost like a typical big man squash match. It's a couple of big moves, get him out of here. It's an introduction. It was a reintroduction, but I mean, I kind of like him. I like how he looks. I like how he hits some of his big moves. They look good. Yeah, I mean, I guess we just gotta wait and see with him. It's gonna take some time to build him up, but they can't keep doing this weird stop and start because they already started with him. He disappeared. I forgot about him. Now they bring him back, and I'm supposed to care.
See, the issue is that the way that they introduced Ridge Holland is they put him in the ring against, Gargano. They put him in the ring against like the top tier guys, and I'm saying unless he's going over, then it doesn't matter ultimately. So, yeah, you put him in there and he can have a great showing, but that's not the way that you want to introduce somebody, because if they're not going over, there's no point in having them out there. So Ridge Holland is very impressive. I like this promo. He looks like he could be a somebody. He really does. Like, he has a presence about him. He's well-spoken, because it's not like he's just a big guy that and just talks a bunch of – he's very well-spoken. He gets his points across. He looks good. And, and even though I didn't see his match, but I can only surmise that it got the point across. I would have been like, I would have probably said, okay, if it was a 2-minute squash match, introducing him, I'm like, perfect. That's exactly what this should be. Get in, get out, just, put the dude down and give him a win. It's exactly what it would have been. So I like Ridge Holland. I want to see what they do with him, because they do have a lot of guys on the NXT roster that can match up well with him. It's all a matter of slow burn with this guy, because he can be. I think he's going to be somebody.
All right, let's go to Brody Lee versus Orange Cassidy. This was a little all over the place because of all the interference. I don't think you need. I think they need to make those when you interfere. I think it needs to be like feel important or special. Make it stand out But when you have everyone running around, it's too difficult to like keep up with that. Whatever you're trying to tell me or show me, you have too many people running around. So they had too many people running around. So it was a little bit of a distraction. But either way, Brody Lee beat the shit out of Orange Cassidy. He pretty much beat up on him. You know, Cassidy was trying to find openings. He did. He would find an opening here, opening there, but it was, you know, big man style, cut him off, boom, hit him hard. And, you know, when Cassidy gets hit, it looks like he gets hit by a car. Sometimes he just flattens out and he's like, looks dead, completely dead.
Well, when he gets hit by Brody Lee, if he doesn't sell like that, I would probably potato him once just to let him know. So he did the right thing by Brody Lee by selling the way he was.
No, yeah, he made Brody look good. It was more of all of the weird distractions. You had Silver take out one of his own guys, which was like it caused a little bit of a distraction for Cassidy, and then he was able to hit something. Like you had the big punch that he hits, and then you had his like DDTs, but you had Brody Lee just fire up like, bro, I'm gonna just murder you now, and he took him out, got him out of there, which I thought was the right thing to do. Keep Brody Lee. You know, you've built Brody Lee. You've got him to this moment. It's too soon to take the belt off him. So let's keep it going with Brody. Either way, the important thing was after the match, you had Cody make a return. And you didn't like this return? I thought it was.
I'll tell you why. This is
okay. Well, he comes back with a fresh coat of paint. You got a
literally
new look.
all over his hair.
Yeah, all over his hair. His hair went black, which I would say I didn't like because I really liked him as a blonde. But if it's gonna change something in his character, then it's fine. You know, whatever. If he's pissed off and no time to be a blonde. Blondes have more fun, and he's not trying to have fun right now. He's trying to fuck some people up. Then I'm cool with it, you know. But you know, Cody was completely fired up. That's one of his strengths, showing that fire. And he took some people out. Who did he slap on the figure four on? Was it a figure four?
Yes.
One of the Dark Order members got their leg broke.
I think it was Alan Angels, number 5.
Number 5. So number 5 is not looking too good after that one, because the look in Cody's face was like he was trying to murder him. But yeah. So why didn't you like Cody's return?
We got to begin at the beginning. So Brody Lee comes out. The first thing that I saw was freaking Evil Uno doing goofy selling of a match that he had now 5 minutes earlier with Adam Page, and yet his ass is out at ringside with the Dark Order. Way to go for burying Hangman even further. So Hangman needed like 45 different power moves to beat this guy, and now 5 minutes later, his ass is right back out there, goofy selling and standing out there ringside. My man. You stay in the locker room. So that's the first thing I saw. I was like, geez. The first note I said, John Silver is a goof. I know that he's a very talented wrestler, but he's playing the role of a goof, and he does it to the point where I'm like, it makes no sense to the presentation. When Brody Lee is out there, there should be no goofiness with the Dark Order when Brody Lee is wrestling. He's the leader. All of these guys should be scared shitless of him. Just his entrance should basically darken the mood for all of those guys where they're like, we're not going to do anything stupid around Brody Lee because we know that he's going to beat us up if we do. So the fact that John Silver's going out there looking stupid and goofy, ugh. Anna Jay, smoking hot. You know, more of her, please. And then Orange, the bell rings and Orange Cassidy doing the silly fake kicks. It's typical to his persona. So I'm not even, but it's just like, damn, he's just already trying. And then Brody Lee does exactly what I would have done. Big right hand right to the chops. Down he goes. I would have done the exact same thing. I just wouldn't have let him get so many kicks on me before doing it. So there's a spot where Orange Cassidy has his hands in his pockets. He hits Brody Lee with a dropkick that barely connects, and then Brody Lee throws himself out to the floor. I was like, come on, man. Could you – if I'm Brody Lee, if I take that soft of a dropkick, I'll probably register like, bounce off the ropes, but I'm like, I'm not going to throw my – I'm 6'6" and 275 pounds, and this guy barely touches me, and I'm going to throw myself out to the floor. Like, come on, man. Register to the point where it does make some kind of sense. Orange dives out to the floor with his hands in his pockets, and that's typical Orange Cassidy nonsense. The Dark Order catches him. Thank goodness they caught him. The guys on the floor.
I thought that was good too.
They caught him, which was good. It was the right thing to do. Only then to have Brody Lee, all 6'6", 275 pounds, do the exact same shit that Orange Cassidy was attempting to do. No.
I thought that looked good.
It does. I understand that. It doesn't matter if it looks good. It's a matter that he shouldn't be doing it.
Because he's big?
No, because it's the juxtaposition of the match. Understand that Brody Lee could be able to beat Orange Cassidy with a much more diverse moveset. Orange Cassidy has to utilize those moves to be able to get some kind of offense on Brody Lee. So it doesn't make any sense for Brody to do that move. What the Dark Order guys could have done is they could have just picked them up, and they could have done like I don't know if I would do this because it's probably dangerous, but like the Spirit Squad would do, where they like throw the guy up in the air and then he'd land, throw his ass back in the ring. Do that. It's dangerous though, so I don't know if I would do that. But the thought process would be that the minions would get the spot, not Brody Lee. JR, Brody Lee is not Bruiser Brody like. Please don't.
Oh my God! But he's the closest thing. I get it. You have not as soon as you've seen Brody Lee for the first time, it had to remind you of Bruiser Brody. Come on, Lou. Come on, Lou. Stop it.
No, he just got a beard and long hair. That's about it.
And crazy eyes. He's a mad, wild man. He looks like He actually looks like him.
Okay, sure. All right, that's fine. Again, I wrote here, Evil Uno should not be at ringside. Evil Uno should not be at ringside. Why does every AEW match go out to the floor? Like, geez, man, please. If you're going to have 5 matches on your show, pick one, not all 5. Like, damn it. It is what it is. I like the fact, Brody Lee is hitting Orange Cassidy with multiple big man power moves, but he can't beat him. He's not beating him. And here's the thing. You can hit him with the big man stuff. The one thing you want to do is with Orange Cassidy is in some instances, you don't want to have Orange Cassidy kicking out of every single one of those moves, because then it looks silly considering how small Orange is next to Brody Lee. Part of it is that you want to have Brody Lee pick him up. You want to have Brody Lee being like that arrogant prick to be like, I'm going to pick him up. I could beat him whenever I want. Have those types of moments too, because that's how, yes, Orange can kick out from time to time, but if he kicks out of every single one, it diminishes the big man's moves. Don't do that. I like the fact that Brody Lee slowed the match down during picture-in-picture. That's experience, the right thing to do. Orange Cassidy, man, taking an ass whipping. I'll give him that. He took a major league one in this match. Again, John Silver's a goof. Just like, why is he even out there? Orange Cassidy he got zero up to this point, got zero offense in the match. We're probably about 60-70% of the way through the match. He's gotten zero offense, and yet he's still in it. By kicking out and not dying. I'm like, it's got to be, again, booking-wise, it's got to be a little more Brody Lee being prickish and not taking him seriously enough, meaning picking him up, not going for covers when he should, things like that. It's not diminishing Orange Cassidy. It's actually enhancing Brody Lee because of the size differential. Again, every match is, on all the TV shows now are 2 segments now. Brody Lee looked in really good shape when he took off his when he pulled down the top. He's cut up. He's looking good. He's gotten himself in really good shape. I like the fact that Brody Lee, when he was going to do that guillotine choke thing on the ropes to Orange Cassidy, even though he held them there forever, because he held them there for like 30 seconds, just kind of waiting and waiting, he was clearly waiting for the picture-in-picture to end so that when they get to the main feed, that'd be the first spot. Nicely done. I just wish that the referee would have given him the Iggy because they were already on for about 10 or 15 seconds before he hit the move on Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy got hit with those that half and half suplex that Brody Lee hit him with. He hit him with it twice, and yet he went for the cover and he kicked out. What has to happen at that point is Brody Lee just starts standing there and he just starts selling, or he just, again, pissing on Orange Cassidy and just lets him go out to the floor. Ways to give Orange Cassidy a breather so that he doesn't get beat with those moves without him kicking out. Again, you don't want to diminish. These are big power moves that Orange Cassidy should not be kicking out of. After taking so many of them over the course of the 10-minute beating that he took, you shouldn't be able to kick out. So it is what it is. And then again, I wrote Orange Cassidy's back in control after getting the crap kicked out of him for 10 minutes. Like literally like Superman style. He just starts making his comeback, and then, Orange Cassidy all by himself puts down Brody Lee and the 5 members of the Dark Order that are on the floor, and then hits a power move on Brody Lee and gets a long 2 count. After all of this, it's not like Brody Lee made a mistake that Orange is taking advantage of. Orange just started making his comeback. John Silver enters the ring openly attempting to interfere. No disqualification. Then Brody Lee hits that big clothesline and he beats Orange Cassidy. Very good. I thought this match was not good, only because, again, I know that Orange Cassidy is very popular with AEW, and I'm not going to diminish that. He's very popular within AEW's environment. The thing about it is that the match was designed as that, yes, Orange Cassidy was going to get beat, and he did have his hope spot, and he did all that stuff. But the fact is that later on, especially later on when they show Chuck and Trent in the show, I'm looking at it and saying, well, why did they not come out to help Orange when it's clearly 6, 7, 8 against 1? They didn't even try to help him. It's just, I understand that they're trying to build Orange Cassidy on the goodwill that he had after working with Jericho, and they're wanting to continue the build. It's all a matter that this match should have been more about Orange Cassidy taking a tremendous beating, and the fact that Orange stayed in the match was not because of necessarily all of his heart being the only thing that kept him in the match. It's actually Brody Lee underestimating him. And Brody Lee didn't really underestimate him. He just beat the piss out of him. It's just that Orange kept kicking out, and he kept staying in the match. And the fact is that the Dark Order guys, when you have that many of them out there, you shouldn't have 5 or 6 guys out there when Brody Lee is either, if they're not going to be used in the match in terms of taking up for spots whenever Brody Lee tosses them out to the floor, and then the Dark Order gets their little shots in. You don't need all 5 of them out there. You can have maybe 2. Because Brody would just smack the others and just tell them to go away. And there's a whole lot about this match that didn't work, despite the fact that the right guy won and they kind of told the right story. There's just a lot of things that just don't go together in this match. Cody comes out, and they do this whole big theatrical thing. It's again, they do the whole like minute-long video, and then they like the smoke and this and that. It almost looked like something for Papa Shango. And then, Cody, then they play Cody's theme music. He comes out, he's full of piss and vinegar. And I'm like, he's looking GQ. I was like, he came out there all by himself, beat up all the members of the Dark Order all alone in a 3-piece suit, shiny shoes, the kick-ass socks. He looked suave doing it. And I'm just thinking, like, it's almost like it's slightly schizophrenic with what they're doing with the Dark Order. It's almost like they'll present them for a couple of weeks, knowing this is the thing, knowing that the Dark Order, not 5 weeks earlier, beat Cody down. Then they beat up Brandy, QT, and Dustin. But yet 5 weeks later, Cody shows up all by himself and beats the piss out of all of them. And Brody Lee takes a powder so that he doesn't get an ass kicking. Like, again, I understand what they're trying to do. It's just that it's silly in its execution. Cody, listen, it would make sense. Yeah, you're on mute. It would make sense if Cody comes out there and they start feeding the Dark Order guys to him, and then Brody gets him and slows him down a little bit, and it almost looks like they're going to cut him off, and then Cody gets some offense on Brody Lee, and then he can stand up, and blow up looking like hot stuff, and then it gives reason for Brody Lee's angry Huffy Puffy promo after the following commercial break. That's all it is. It's not a matter that what they're doing is completely wrong. It's just that they're like lapses in how they're doing it. That it needs to be done better. Because I'm like, it's 6-on-1, 7-on-1, 8-on-1. Like, Cody should not be able to do that all by himself.
Well,
he shouldn't.
I'm gonna try to be consistent here. So, throughout my life watching wrestling, I've never liked this thing where one guy can beat up 10 guys. However, I still don't like it. I liked it. I liked seeing Cody come back and kick ass, but that thought process of having one guy come out and beat 10 guys and not finding a clever way to execute it. But that's no different than what Hogan would do, than what Cena would do, than what Austin would do, than what The Rock would do.
But all of those guys that you just mentioned, with all due respect to Cody Rhodes, all of those guys that you just mentioned, as silly as it sounds, I'm not gonna tell you that it's perfectly fine because it's those guys, but those guys were just whenever they would do that, particularly with Hogan. Hogan would take a lot of ass whippings before he made his comeback. Cena would do that a lot, which I always rolled my eyes because it would bother me. When Austin would do it either he had like a big gimmick, whether it's bringing the beer truck or sneaking in from behind and beating everybody. Even though it's 10-on-1, it's still ridiculous. But they found
We've seen Austin come save the day and beat the shit out of 20 people. For sure he's come out, hit 20 stunners, and take out all the heels by himself, and then take out the baby faces as well.
Just for good measure.
I mean, it's a weird top guy baby face presentation. I don't necessarily agree with it. I think you can do it, but I think you got to be clever. Find a way to even the fight out before you take everyone out, or have some people go, we're not going to fight, and just catch one or two guys. Cody didn't even bring like a chair or a stick or something. I got to watch it again and see exactly how it went down, because people ran. They didn't they didn't all jump in the ring.
Well, the thing is that they're feeding Cody, right? They're feeding him, but the issue is that this is the kind of opportunity to where Brody Lee needs to try to cut Cody off. Now, mind you, because having Cody put the figure 4 on one of the Dark Order minions, it makes zero sense because Brody Lee has already established that he doesn't care about his guys at all. So Cody could have just gone out there and just left all those guys laying. You'd have to get body bags for all of those guys, and Brody Lee would be completely indifferent. He wouldn't care. He doesn't care, but I think it still sends the message that Cody's trying to send, is that this is not the same Cody you fought 6 weeks ago. This is where it almost seems like I would have liked to see Brody Lee try to go in there and cut him off. Try to, because the thing is that then Cody can get his physicality on the heel, and then the other Dark Order minions will try to break it up, and then Cody could kick their ass, and then Brody could walk away, and then Brody could just be like, all right, I'm done here, and then he could cut his like I said, his Huffy Puffy promo that he did later on. Okay. We're gonna get a dog collar match. I don't like these type of matches. No matter who's in them, it doesn't matter who it is. I don't like those type of matches. What's the other one? Strap match. Those type of matches I don't like. I never did. Now, if anyone can pull it off, it's Cody. He seems to understand that old school Southern wrestling better than most people. But I'm still probably not gonna like it. I've never seemed to enjoy those matches. Unless it's just an excuse to keep them
to beat the shit out of each other, and it's gonna be one of those Cody bloodbaths, and and Cody gets everyone to really, really care about him, and then he finds a way to pull it off. But I really don't like the strap matches, dog collar matches. I kind of like, if you're gonna do these gimmick matches, I don't mind ladder matches. I don't mind keeping it simple. Maybe a cage around the ring. I think these are a little bit more complicated, and you're adding something that's really gonna limit your movement, and it's in the way. And I don't know. I've never been a fan of this match.
I will say this. The reason why I'm actually okay with the idea of a dog collar match only because we haven't seen it in so long.
Mm-hmm.
That, I mean, like the most famous one that we can remember is probably from Starrcade between Valentine and Piper, and that dates back almost 40 years at this point. So it's well long enough that we can revisit that. The issue that I have with this is that Brody Lee offers the challenge to Cody. First of all, it's ass backwards. One is the heel never should give the stipulation to a match because that's what the babyface is there to do. Number two, Cody is coming to the ring looking for Brody Lee, and Brody Lee's running away. It should be Cody coming up and saying, listen, since you don't want to get in here and fight me, here it is. Here's the gimmick. I'm going to strap your ass into this ring and we're going to fight. Because every time I show up, I showed up this time, and you're taking a powder and leaving your guys to get the beating that belongs to you. The fact that Brody Lee is saying, "Oh, I want this stipulation." First of all, it's too freaking soon. If let's say you want to build this match up for the next pay-per-view or even further on down the line, what has to happen is there needs to be more attempted interactions between Cody and Brody. Brody keeps running away, and Cody says, "Damn it, you know what? I've had enough of this nonsense. Here it is. We're going to make this happen." And it's almost as if the TNT Championship is secondary because what Cody wants is a piece of Brody's ass. He wants to be able to get his revenge. He wants to be able to get his receipt for the ass whipping he took, 6 weeks ago. It makes sense. The problem is that when the heel cuts the promo and he's basically firing up and saying, "Oh, I want you in the ring and I'm giving you a dog collar match," it's like, it's just so stupid. I'm like, who books this stuff? Like, seriously. That's for that. The babyface has to throw that challenge out, not the heel. Just ridiculous, man. It really is.
All right. So we have Damian Priest against Austin Theory. Non-title, right?
Yes, sir.
Non-title. Okay. Austin Theory, they need to groom Austin Theory, have him watch a bunch of young AJ style stuff. He reminds me of young AJ, but not as good.
He reminds me more of a young Marcus Bagwell.
Oh, well, I can see that too. But Bagwell can't do the athletic stuff that this kid can do.
No, he cannot. No, you're right about that. He cannot.
But he does have the nice guns.
Austin
but this stuff thing is like, this kid is put together perfectly from here down, but up here I just don't believe nothing. When he's speaking, I'm like, shut the fuck up. I don't care. I don't care I don't care about what you have to say. Luckily he's a heel, so it's fine that I feel that way. Either way, you got. I know Priest went old school. He did that old school spot, but did it with a crossbody, which I thought looked a little weird. Maybe it's just a one-time thing. Have you seen him hit it before?
No, but I didn't really like it only because
it looked awkward.
Only because of the fact that that's a move that Priest would probably want to pull out against a guy just as big as he is, or not. No, I didn't. Especially at that moment in the match because he was in complete control. It wasn't as if Austin Theory was giving him an issue at that point in the match. So, no, it made no sense to do that.
You also had another, the fight goes to the outside, and you're going to see Priest hit a big razor's edge on the apron. Boom!
That's a no-no. That's the finish. That's a
no-no. It pretty much was the finish because he pushes him in. I don't know how much longer they went at it after that.
Yeah, I mean,
but not long.
Priest won the match moments afterwards.
Yeah, it wasn't
just a matter that those – see, the reason why I don't like those kinds of big spots is only because of the fact that, again, Priest is a babyface. and I'm not saying that baby faces should never be aggressive, but that's not something that a baby face should be doing to a heel. It's the other way around, because that's usually a spot that a heel could do on a baby face and get some heat. He just did it as just a spot, and even though yes, it did essentially ended the match, but I'm like, there's got to be other ways. It's psychological. I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that move. I know that you're not a white meat baby face, and I know that Damian Priest is not, and I understand that, but no, don't do that.
And it's still a big enough move that you can save it in your arsenal for something special.
Correct.
You know who does that damn apron? A good apron. It's a power bomb to the apron. So my favorite is Kevin Owens, and when he does it, you go away for 6 weeks.
Because that's the right thing to do.
He's not coming back.
Because you know what? Because that's called good wrestling logic. That's what you're supposed to do. That's an injury spot. That's an angle spot.
He's done it and put people out, and it looks great every time.
Yeah,
I love it when he does it.
It's just a matter again. No, Damian Priest should not be doing that to Austin Theory, or really to anybody. Quite frankly, he shouldn't be doing that to anybody. It's devastating enough if he did the Razor's Edge in the ring. That should be enough to end the match. He does not need to be doing that on the apron. I know it's the whole big spot thing, and where everybody loves it, but don't do it.
Then after the match, you see, as the lights start to go down a little bit, because he has to do his exit. Gargano big super kick, which was cool. Good that he got a little something. Give him something to think about before takeover. What I didn't notice, how did they determine this match?
With Gargano?
They announced it?
I know they announced it.
I know first 5 seconds of the damn show, they're already like, we found out that it's gonna be Gargano against.
I'm a little fuzzy if Gargano won some kind of match, or if I'm a little fuzzy about that. Or it may have been a promo or something that he cut on Damian Priest, and Priest responded in kind. I think it was probably that. I mean, the only thing about Johnny Gargano, and I say this with all due respect, I mean, I'm not gonna dig on Gargano's size, because that it is what it is. The fact is that when Gargano comes to the ring and he does this to Damian Priest, one of the things that kind of angers me is that when you're in street clothes, your street clothes should still be somewhat representative of your in-ring persona. And the fact is that when Gargano dresses up in his regular street clothes, he's wearing just a t-shirt, jeans, and plain white sneakers. There's nothing about him that looks even remotely like a star and should be knocking this dude out. If Damian Priest was to be in the street clothes, Damian Priest's street clothes look similar to what his in-ring gear would look like. And I don't know if, Priest might very well be wearing Zubaz for all I know when he's off camera. But when he's on camera, everything still folds into what the Damian Priest package is. And I think when I look at Gargano, when I saw that, that bothered me. And I was like, I would prefer that Gargano didn't even come out. Because it just looked like somebody's dad just knocked this dude out. It didn't look like a tough guy that put down Damian Priest, no matter the circumstance. It's just those things always need to stay in mind. I never ever like pro wrestlers coming out in their street clothes, and then it looks like there's a clear division between in-ring gear and regular street clothes. And I'm like, no, when you are on camera, you are whoever you purport yourself to be. Even if you're not wearing your gear, you better make sure that your street clothes keep you somewhat in character, because if they don't, it's just a complete split divide. And then it's just like, okay, you're taking the audience out of whatever suspension of disbelief that they're in at that moment.
All right, we had Kip Sabian and Miro versus Sonny and Joey. This wasn't a good match, but I think it was more bad luck
Thank, you know what, Vic?
I think
Just the fact that those words came out of your mouth, I'm very happy. Thank you.
But it was more bad luck than anything because Miro looked like he hurt his ankle or something, and now from then on, every spot that involved him kind of was blown. It felt like he had to throw people around, but couldn't necessarily throw them around properly. Did you notice this, or am I bugging?
No. You're. Yes, I did notice that Miro did hurt himself. I'll let you continue because I think that was the most unfortunate circumstance of this match. But I don't think that was the reason why this match was bad. But it was an unfortunate circumstance, the most unfortunate of all the circumstances.
It was unfortunate because this match was gonna.
No, this match was going to suck regardless. But
I don't think
the fact that Miro hurt himself, if he did hurt himself for real,
he hurt himself, but he eventually recovered, and that's when, to me, he started looking really good. He has some intangibles about him. Intensity, his look, his big arms and big traps.
Big legs. I mean, the dude is huge.
Yeah,
I'll explain to you why this match sucked momentarily.
All right, just get right into it. Okay? Let's not waste any time.
First off, when the first thing they do, that AEW did wrong here is that they're introducing Kip Sabian at his actual weight. They're saying he's 181 pounds. Look, you can announce Kip Sabian at 200 and nobody's going to bat an eye. No one's going to bat an eye because he looks big enough that you could say he's 200 pounds and be like, all right, you could buy it. Give or take a few pounds. Then, Sabian comes out and he's hyping up Miro. Kip Sabian's not a good hype man. It is what it is. That's the least of the issues in this match. Miro looks amazing. He looks super cool. Amazing. Just, my God, he looks so good physically. The problem that I didn't like is that AEW was focusing on the pyro and not focusing on his face when he came out. When he came out, it's like, forget about the pyro. It's right here, right here. They got it when he ripped off his shirt and he did the whole big muscle man thing, and he was like, he was red and veiny, and it was like, oh yeah, it's just like the whole thing. I was like, all right, very well done. I just thought to myself, last week, Jurassic Express had the opening match against FTR and they didn't get an entrance, and yet this week, Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss not only get an entrance, but they also get a promo, pre-recorded promo. Why? And then on top of this, Sonny Kiss says nothing. Joey Janela cuts the promo, and what he's talking about, oh, well, hey Kip, me and Penelope used to be a thing, a while back. It's like, you seem to be a nice guy. I like you. Don't get involved with her. And I'm like, this has that whole thing. This match has nothing to do with Joey Janela, Penelope Ford, and Kip Sabian. This match is only about one thing and one thing only. Miro. That's it. Miro. It's about nothing else. Everyone else is garnish. It's all about Miro. Goodness sake. Joe, in the beginning of this match, of course, JR is always shining up, Sonny Kiss's match that he had with Cody Rhodes. And I was like, I understand why. That was Sonny Kiss's brightest moment in AEW, even though that happened, for, a couple of months ago at this point. And, they've been featuring him more. So I'm not going to say that, whatever, they have been featuring him more, even though it's in this tag team, but they featured him more. Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss make a tag. Both guys are physically in the ring. They tag each other, and referee Aubrey Edwards lets it go. Come on, ref. Like, enforce the rules even a little bit. Come on. Like, don't discredit yourself. That was just awful. Miro tags in, and I just said, now a man has entered the ring. A man has entered the ring. He starts beating up on Sonny Kiss, and then he goes for a cover, and Sonny Kiss kicks out. Like, legitimately kicking out. And it's not like Miro's doing little bullshit covers. What I would have done in booking the match is I'm not going to have Miro try to beat anybody until it's time for the finish. Miro's just going to smack people around. Not even going to try to beat these guys. Because every time that he would go for a pin on Sonny Kiss and Miro, either try to pin Sonny Kiss or Joey Janela, and they kick out, it's bad. So I wouldn't even have Miro even attempt to go for any finish until it's time to go home. You know, like I said, Miro looks amazing, but the fact that Sonny Kiss is still hanging in there and he's attempting to fight back, and Miro's, you know, registering. I'm not going to say selling, but registering. Just like, no. Well, the way that this match is, I would have been like, listen, you can have Kip Sabian be the guy that works with Sonny and Joey and be able to have an even match. As soon as Miro gets tagged in at any point, he's the equalizer. Sonny and Joey have zero for him, as should be. They have nothing for him because it just that this match is only about Miro. So it really, no, they should get no offense on him at all. Again, lousy hot, you know, they're not even hot tags. They're ice cold, just awful. You know, Miro's actually selling for Joey Janela with the low bridge spot. Like, come on, man, seriously, just stop it. It's awful. No. It's his first match. Then Miro selling for both of these guys. I just like, no. No. Zero selling for Miro for either one of these two baby faces. If it would have been Hangman and Omega as a team, yes, you sell for them. You don't sell for Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss. I'm sorry. You do not. Period. You just don't. It's just when Miro went out to the floor and he did that running spot and he ran off the ropes and he looked like he turned his ankle. For a minute, I was like, oh my God, this could be like the most unfortunate of all circumstances, to think that Miro in his first match wrestled a really lousy match against, again, like I said, I don't care how popular Joey and Sonny may be, but when you take a look at the visual representation of Miro versus these two guys, you know, Sonny and Joey Janela, it's ridiculous to think that Sonny and Joey, even double teaming, are going to be able to hurt Miro in any way, shape, or form. So when Miro turned his ankle, I was like, oh man, this could be the worst of all things, to have Miro not only work a horrible match for his first match on AEW, but actually legitimately hurt himself. Thankfully, he turned his ankle, but it looked like as the match progressed, you know, he got his feet back underneath him. It looked, you know, it didn't look as serious. Thank goodness. But the match was awful. I mean, yeah, he hits, you know, he beats Sonny Kiss with the accolade. You know, they got to give a new name for that, obviously, because, you know, I don't know if WWE.
I think it Game Over or something like that.
Okay, that's fine. But you know, you beat him with that Game Over move. And, you know, obviously, you know, Sonny Kiss is tapping like a drum. But again, just this match was just completely booked the wrong way. Again, Kip Sabian is in there. He can work a competitive match against Joey and Sonny. As soon as Miro gets tagged in, it's a wrap. Joey and Sonny get nothing on him. They might get one spot where Miro makes a mistake and he runs himself into the post, or he does, or to the corner, and you know, momentarily hurts himself, and then they could probably get a little something on him. But it was to the point where they were actually getting some spots, and Miro was selling for them, and I'm like, no, just no. This was the shits. It was awful. And AEW has to really, it's like, again, I'm looking at it, it's like, y'all have got to reassess. You know, you got to reassess and take a look at what you got. Forget about the fact that Miro's coming from the WWE and all that stuff. Just visually look at him. Even if he was brand new, like nobody in this country had ever seen him. Would you have put him in a competitive match against Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss? The answer is no. So it just, this whole idea of try to create parity and everybody's kind of like on even keel, no. Because you're not elevating the guys that are underneath. You're actually pulling down the guys that can make you money. Don't do that. It was awful. I'm hoping that AEW rethinks their strategy around Miro, and hopefully, because I'm sure they'll probably get a second chance to, they're not going to get a second chance to make a first impression, but if they correct course quickly, we can kind of put this as like, okay, this was just, youthful indiscretion, lousy booking. We can forgive this if they get it right moving forward, but this was just awful. All
right, let's go to this gauntlet match, which was long and a lot of shit happened.
Yes, very long.
We're
not even talking about my boy Eddie Kingston. Come on, we gotta talk about my boy.
Well, that's the main. We'll talk about that last because we're kind of going in order.
All right, that's my boy Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, we'll save Kingston for last. That could be the final thing.
All right.
So this match starts O'Reilly versus Kushida, which I liked. Two versatile guys, that could do a lot.
No entrances for either one.
No entrances for either one, but you can't be too mad because this is a 45-minute match.
I guess you're right. All right. You know what? When you put it that way, I have been as I stand corrected.
It wasn't 45 minutes, but it was long.
Long enough. It was long enough.
It was good though. It was a lot of good stuff. A lot of fun stuff happened. I don't know if you thought it was good, but I thought it was fun at least.
No, it was all right. It was good.
But I like the beginning of the match. It's slow paced because they know they got a long way to go, and it makes sense if the first two guys are in there to slow it down because you don't want to like, waste all your energy with the first guy. So they're looking for submissions. It felt like if you're in jiu-jitsu class and you're sparring, and they're kind of like trading holds and like just reversing, and they're both really good at it. My only concern was Kushida. It's like that damn whatever that was in his character that changed. It's like it never happened to me in my eyes. I didn't see not a lick, not a mention. We were talking about changing his clothes, changing his hair. He looked even brighter. I don't know if he changed gear and the gear got brighter. I seen more color.
The lights. They turned up.
They turned up the lights, and I thought that his facials is like he forgot. It's like last week, whoever produced this match was like, hey, make sure you add a little bit of this, a little bit of anger, a little bit of like craziness in your eyes. He looked like a white meat baby face out there. His facials, it was like this is a baby face. So I don't know if they gave up or they just had to squeeze in this gauntlet to tell a different story and they got to come back to it. But to me, that's not good. At least mention it. At least have him do something, one little moment in the match that shows that there's a different side of him. And, you can always finish telling that story, but to not even mention it, even in the match, to not have him do not one thing. He's wrestling so clean. So it was such a babyface performance. It really threw me off. Not that he was turning heel, but there was something going on with his character, and we don't know what it was, and you didn't even mention it. So I thought that was weird.
We won't know because they didn't follow up.
Yeah, it's like I don't know what's going on, but finally it picks up with O'Reilly and Kushida, and they go pretty much full-blown strong style, and they're exchanging, and that's when Bronson Reed comes in. And yeah, I still don't see nothing about Kushida that was heelish, but whatever. And this is another thing that gets confusing. Dream is gonna come out, and I was like, oh shit, maybe he's coming in early from his thing, but he's not even in the match. But he comes out, which is fine. He hits Kushida, which is kind of fine, but we know Velveteen is a heel. And Kushida, I guess, so that pretty much goes, okay, he's a babyface because he's about to go into a rivalry with a heel. Whatever that was last week, forget about it, throw it away.
Yeah, and here's the issue with that. Unfortunately, the person that actually took the loss was Austin Theory, who's a guy that WWE has to continue developing. If you were not going to make any kind of a significant personality change to Kushida in his television presentation, then that's a wasted segment because you're not following up on anything with Kushida. A guy like Austin Theory, who could have used the win last week, considering that he lost this week to Damian Priest, that just altogether ends up being a wasted segment from last week's show.
Yeah, so after Dream hits his the Dream Valley Driver, that's what he calls it.
Yes, sir.
You get the big splash from Reed out of nowhere. Boom! Kushida, get him out of here. He's out of the match.
Well, he took that tremendous big splash from Bronson Reed, and when a guy like Bronson Reed hits you with a splash like that, I don't care who you are, you're going down.
It definitely looked good. It was a good splash. He does a good splash. Thatcher was the fourth guy out. He comes out right after they have like after that pinfall, they go to commercial or something. And you have Thatcher number 4 and Grimes number 5. And now these 4 guys are gonna fight for a long time. It felt like 10 minutes, could have been more, could have been less, but it felt like 10 minutes, give or take. Reed goes for that big splash again. But this time he misses, and then you get that real quick knee drop from O'Reilly. Boom, which looks awesome. He looks like a damn superhero when he hits that knee on Reed, and he takes him out. And, of course, this is to me, it's almost like a false finish, but it's not. Thatcher goes in right away for that ankle lock because we're so used to and conditioned to see guys sneak a win. A guy gets a win, and then you come in and take the second one, another one.
Yep.
So they kind of teased us a little bit. I'm like, oh shit. So Thatcher, being smart dude, he tries to get that. But that gets reversed. Either way, this moves on a little bit. You have Thatcher puts a choke on O'Reilly. Then O'Reilly. I guess Grimes goes for a kick, and O'Reilly grabs Grimes.
Puts an ankle lock on him.
With the ankle lock. How did Grimes get out of that?
He didn't. O'Reilly was, when Thatcher had the sleeper hold on him, he cinched it in, and then O'Reilly let the move go.
O'Reilly lets
the
go.
Right thing to do.
Back, and then O'Reilly does that spot where he kind of lands on top.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he gets him out, right, Thatcher?
Let's see.
Oh no! That's a false finish right there. Then they're gonna go and he kind of does like some kind of roll up, but it doesn't work. They get back up, and then he catches him with another one.
I mean, I know that O'Reilly beat Thatcher with a roll up.
It's a roll up, yeah.
It was a little too neat and simple, but
Yeah, it was a little.
It was a little too rudimentary for that point in the match.
Yeah, it didn't feel big enough.
It just felt like it didn't make much sense. Meaning, you'd figure that you'd want to hit Thatcher with something that would at least shake him up enough. Especially with Kyle O'Reilly, one of those big kicks that he throws, that should be more than enough to put him down for a quick one, as they say.
Yeah. But that's now O'Reilly has eliminated 2 guys, so that's interesting. After he gets that pinfall, this is when Grimes comes with that cave in, he calls it.
It's great. I love it.
Boom. But he's close to the rope. O'Reilly is able to get the rope break. Then the finish is when Grimes gonna go for that again. He misses though, right?
Yes.
Oh, and then O'Reilly gets almost like that heel hook knee bar.
He got him, and he's tapping like a drum at that point.
So that's 3. So he eliminated 3 guys. So obviously this was to make this guy at least look like a star for now, at least for this takeover, which is pretty cool. He was a top guy in Ring of Honor, so we know he's at least can be put in a main event situation at least one time, baby.
Well, listen.
He deserves it for me.
And listen, in NXT, Kyle O'Reilly's skill set fits perfectly for what main event position players are there. He's got the pedigree of the Undisputed Era, that he's already worked countless main event matches, whether it be tag team matches with Fish, 8-man tags, the War Games matches, all that jazz. I mean, he's got a stout resume on the NXT brand. So to branch him off as a single and win this match, that's not surprising to me at all. And no, not at all.
Yeah, well, I'm happy for him, and like I always say, if you have most guys, especially in WWE, a lot of those guys are really, really good to great workers, and it's nothing wrong with giving them opportunities every now and then, even if it's, once in a blue moon. But to have guys that are this good and to never give them not one main event match, it doesn't feel right. That's why I'm happy for. Is it Jey Uso who's getting an opportunity?
Yes.
Jey Uso's getting an opportunity, which would never happen, but the story fits, and he's doing great. He's doing great work. So it's good to give a guy an opportunity every now and then. You never know. They might blow up. We know he's gonna tear the house down.
Well, listen. All I know is that with Jey Uso and Roman Reigns are gonna be working tomorrow night, this Sunday at the Clash of Champions show. That match, when you look at it on paper, doesn't seem very impressive, but the way that they've told the story, it's really good. Like, they've done a fantastic job laying down the foundation. Let's hope that the one-on-one match lives up to that hype. With this match, with O'Reilly, O'Reilly and Kushida, and you have Bronson Reed, Thatcher, and Grimes coming in their own individual stuff. Yeah, I mean, you pretty much covered the bases. I mean, first part of the match, obviously, with O'Reilly and Kushida, it's all about just chain wrestling. It's a matter of start out slow because we're gonna be here for a little while. We're not gonna start off at 100 miles an hour. Probably within the last minute of their one-on-one match, it started to pick up. The steam started picking up. Bronson Reed comes in and he's doing exactly what the big man should do: dominate. The other two guys can no longer focus on the other. They got to team up against Bronson Reed because, in all due respect, neither one of them should be able to take Reed down one-on-one. They just shouldn't be able to do it because Reed's a big, strong dude, and he can just physically dominate either one of them. When Kushida got rid from the match again, Velveteen Dream coming out and now obviously we're going to be telling the story of Velveteen Dream and Kushida. I'm not sure how I feel about that, quite honestly. I'll kind of let that play out, but I'm not sure if this is a level up for Kushida or a level down for Dream. I'm not real sure, and part of me wants to say it's a level down for Dream. That's just kind of the way I see it right now, but I'll be fair and I'll kind of let them work their matches and tell their story, see how I feel afterwards. Once Thatcher comes in, I actually enjoyed what the match turned into. When Thatcher and then ultimately Grimes came in, it was basically a 3-on-1 match against Bronson Reed. They all tried in their own ways to take down Bronson Reed. They couldn't do it. You could tell that Reed was running out of gas, but he was still overmatching all three guys physically, which he should be able to do. He makes the mistake, he misses the splash. Then when O'Reilly hits him with the knee, he got a quick one on him. It's not like he beat him flat. He got a quick one, and that's totally fine. That's how you want to get the big man out, protect him. Give him an out and protect him, knowing that he was basically fighting 3-on-1 the entire time. Everybody was gunning after him. And you give O'Reilly the win, which is the right thing to do. I've already said I'm a big fan of Timothy Thatcher. I just love his style and I love the way that he sells. It's just always it's always and even here and I'm kind of missing because I'm going back on my notes here. There was a spot where Kushida and O'Reilly started double teaming on Bronson Reed. And then Bronson Reed sold properly for Kushida. Meaning Kushida hits him with a blow. It's not like Bronson Reed's taking a bump. He's registering it. He backs up. But there's no way that a guy that weighs 170 pounds should be able to knock a guy 340 pounds on his ass. Like, it just shouldn't be that way. You register it. You sell properly, but you're not taking the big dive for him. So that was, good stuff. Obviously, Dream, we already spoke about that. Thatcher, when Thatcher got knocked down immediately when he came into the ring and he took the first blow from, I believe it was Bronson Reed, I was like, good. Because generally what ends up happening is guys come into the ring and then they just take over for the first 2 minutes that they're in there. So I'm glad that Thatcher got in there and he got cut off immediately. He got a nice introduction into the match. I look up and I said, Cameron Grimes got himself a killer tan. The last time I saw him, he was ghostly white. That was like, holy smokes. They're hanging out at the beach there in Florida for the last couple of weeks. I love the striking contest between Thatcher and O'Reilly. That's another match that I would love to see one-on-one.
Yeah, as soon as they touch, I was like,
This is good.
God, I need this match.
One-on-one, boy.
I need a nice takeover match between these two guys.
I would pay money to see that match. I would. Grimes does the slingshot to the floor on top of Thatcher and O'Reilly. Again, this is Cameron Grimes, having to pull out all the stops, because Cameron Grimes, when you look at him on paper, it almost seems like in that trio, he's the least of the trio. But in all honesty, WWE's done a fantastic job of establishing him as a guy that can win, because he's had moments where he shouldn't have won and he has. So it's good stuff. I really hate the fact people need to stop doing the Death Valley Driver, because it doesn't beat anybody. Everybody kicks out of it. Just like, don't do it. Just make it a finish or don't do it. The power bomb that O'Reilly took from Bronson Reed was killer. And the thing is that when Bronson Reed hit him with that power bomb and O'Reilly kicked out, I would say that somebody would have to save him, but knowing that this is every man for himself, that wasn't going to happen. This isn't a conventional tag match. I always say Bronson Reed's a phenomenal talent, and I know I'm kind of like skipping back and forth. I'm going ahead, up and down, but I really like Bronson Reed a lot. There's a lot in that guy. Again, I wrote O'Reilly and Thatcher are grinding. What that basically means is that they're really wrestling, and they're just gritting it out. And no matter what you do to those two guys, it always seems like they just keep staying in the match no matter what you do to them. It's very difficult to beat those guys. And I wrote earlier when you were telling about, the sleeper hold and the ankle lock. And normally I would say that had Kyle O'Reilly held on to the ankle lock on Grimes after Thatcher had that sleeper hold on him, if he would have held on to it and not let him go, I would have been like, this is an indie BS spot. Knowing that O'Reilly let go of the move almost immediately after Thatcher kind of like cinched it in a little bit, that's the right thing to do, because O'Reilly shouldn't be able to get a move on anybody else if somebody's got him in a sleeper hold. So that was the right thing to do. Thatcher got beat with the neat roll up, which I didn't like. I just thought that was, wasn't a big fan of that. The one thing I will say about Cameron Grimes is that he's always upsetting the apple cart, and I think that that's the way that he's positioned on NXT. He's kind of there to always shake things up. You never really know with him. He could win, he could lose. O'Reilly won with the heel hook submission, which I was like, good, because it's to his style. He's a submission guy, so that's the way to win. When Cole and Strong came out to support O'Reilly, that's very good. That's why I'm keep saying that I think the Undisputed Era of baby faces. Like, there's just something very baby faces about these guys. Then Balor, goes up to the stage with the belt, does the whole, gun thing. This is where I really do wish that Kyle O'Reilly would have interfered in the Champa match earlier on, only because it would give Champa, I think, a reason to interfere in the takeover match, cost O'Reilly the NXT title, and then give a reason for that story to really get some steam. So this was a good match. All the guys ended up looking good here. Nobody looked bad in this match. So yeah, I thought the match was good. Not the greatest match I've ever seen, but it was good. It was a good, solid TV match. The only one thing I will say for NXT is that at times these matches feel so much longer because there's something about the show that feels very dry. It almost feels like this is a wrestling match for the sake of a wrestling match, but neither one of these five guys had real issues with each other. They're just five guys randomly picked for this match, and it just doesn't seem like there's crossover stories or relationships between them that would kind of make this match have more heat than what it could have had there been some previous issues or history between these guys. So again, good match. It could have been great, but not enough story to be told in between.
All right, so the main event of AEW was the Mad King, Eddie Kingston, and John Moxley. And this is not exactly what you would expect, because these guys are known for using weapons, but they weren't allowed to use weapons this time around. So what did they use? Their fists and their hands. And a lot of chops. And
a lot of chops.
Yeah, this was like Eddie Kingston's chops are. I'm hearing those chops, listening and looking, and I'm like, these are all-time great chops right here that I'm hearing. Because Moxley, who's a big dude,
he's selling it.
And he's they're going back and forth, and you hear Moxley in his face, you see him. He's giving him these chops as much as he can give them. Kingston just goes, okay.
That's it.
You could tell Kingston just has a little bit more natural power in that hand because he's not really trying that hard, and you hear it and you see it right away. The good thing about chops is you can lay them in because you're hitting them on the chest, and you can lay it in. If you don't want to sell, you might not have a choice, depending on who's hitting you. And that's what I think they told each other in the back. Hey, lay your shit in. Lay these chops in.
If I'm apologizing now.
If it hurts, it hurts. If it doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt. But, this was, what if you put these two guys together, I think that's what you want to see. You want physicality. You want strikes. This was very simple. This was just two tough guys who like to strike and like to hit people, and they hit each other.
Correct.
That's all it was, baby. And I think Eddie Kingston is proving that he is really, really good, and his style works. He can do it against anybody. He can make baby faces look good, and that's his job. And if you need him for a main event role, obviously he can do it.
I agree. Again, this is where I keep saying that I don't like Eddie Kingston essentially being the mouthpiece for Butcher, Blade, and the Lucha Brothers. But hear me out, right? So I'm going to go back to his promo that he cut earlier in the show. After the horrendously awful opening match, Eddie Kingston storms to the ring, cuts himself a great promo. Now, here's where AEW, they accidentally fell into something that made sense. Meaning, Eddie Kingston keeps cutting the promo of, I was never eliminated from the Battle Royal. I was never eliminated from the Battle Royal, so that's why I'm getting a title shot. We all know that that's not true. The reason why is because, unfortunately, Lance Archer got sick with COVID. Lance, we hope you get better soon, man. Like I said, we're all human beings here. We don't want anybody getting sick with this stuff. But he comes out, Eddie Kingston comes out, cuts a promo, and it accidentally makes sense because like I said last week, when he was cutting that promo for Archer, I was like, why should I care if it's a heel bashing another heel? Why should I care? But it's the heel now bashing the babyface. Makes sense. All right, cool. He kept saying, I've been in the business for 18 years. 18 years earns me this title shot. And I wrote in my notes, 18 years earns you nothing. Remember that, earns you nothing. Because you could be wrestling for 18 years all over the world. You've only been in AEW for 2 months? So just remember that. 18 years earns you nothing. I love this line that Eddie Kingston threw out. He's like, I stayed with the fighters and the outlaws while Mox went to the land of the sports entertainers. Brilliant. I was like, wow, brilliant line. Brilliant.
And it feels like something out of a movie.
Yes.
Kingston's so damn good, man.
But here's the thing, right? When Kingston talks about the fighters and the outlaws, obviously it's in reference to independent wrestling. If he would have said I stayed in the indies, I would have been like, yeah, you stayed you stayed with the small time while Mox got the opportunity to go to the WWE. The fact that he used the fighters and the outlaws, it works better to his persona and to what he's purporting on television.
Yeah, so and then you can kind of paint a picture in your own head.
Correct.
Which makes it, you literally see some crazy shit in your head, like, whoa, who was he fighting against?
Correct. That's what I'm saying. Like, it was perfect. It was perfectly placed words for him to use. The one thing that I thought about this that just felt so stupid. So Moxley comes out to confront him, and as soon as he does, it just feels like there's 40 guys that come out to separate them. And I'm like, where are all these freaking dudes when guys are getting legitimately getting the pants kicked out of them, and not a single soul comes out, and yet these two guys don't even touch. There's just the threat of them, intermingling and getting into
some people come off as and a little less trustworthy than others. Like
yeah,
Kingston.
sure.
He's a street guy.
Yeah.
From Yonkers.
All I know was that I wrote.
I hope these Yonkers guys.
Yeah, I was like, I hope these guys stick around in case things get sticky later on. I thought Eddie Kingston's promo was excellent. I mean, it was fantastic. It really was. To the match. The match was exactly what I thought the match would be. You know, I just thought to myself, like, well, Moxley already made one entrance in the beginning of the show. I don't know why he had to do the exact same entrance the second time, coming from another part of the building, but that's just me nitpicking. Both guys were wrestling in the beginning, which again, it's just kind of like, you know, they're kind of whetting people's appetites because we know what's coming. It's gonna be, you know, within the first, 2 minutes, out to the floor. Excalibur comes up with the most obscure notes. It's almost like he has all of these. How can I put this? I appreciate the fact that Excalibur is trying to reference things that most people wouldn't know. The problem with that is that sometimes there could be an overload of information, and you have to be able to siphon off, and you have to be able to decipher what information is important and what information is not important. And sometimes, when he's trying to mention things that happen in independent promotions and all this, I'm like, dude, you have to have an idea that if it's not pertinent to the story they're telling in AEW, then you shouldn't really be mentioning it. That's just the reality of it. That would be my position. That's kind of like the position to take on. And I love the fact that Jim Ross gave him flack for it. Jim Ross in a very humorous way kind of told Excalibur, enough of the obscure nonsense. He basically gave him flack for it, which I love. I read a note here. As silly as I think the Chop Fest is in professional wrestling, I love it. Because when people, I don't understand why people would just sit there and say, "Yeah, hit me." Like the whole objective is to not get hit. But I think it's silly and stupid, but I love it.
But hey, we've seen it in other sports. We've seen in boxing. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And it almost never leads to a knockout. And it's like, how do you get a free punch and not knock them out? Because you're great.
The only way the guys do that in boxing is when they after they fought a couple of rounds and they clearly know the other guy's not strong enough to knock them out.
Yeah, they get cocky.
That's when they start sticking their chin out. They're not going to do that if they know the other guy can legitimately just tap them once and they're going down. Again, here's another note to Excalibur. The American audience does not know, because he was referencing names of Japanese wrestlers that, again, unless you are the most hardcore of hardcore wrestling fans, the American audience does not know who they are. You have to ease up on those references, because what you're doing is you're talking to the smart fans. You have to capitulate to a certain degree to what the majority of the audience can visually see and what they can understand. If you're talking, I don't even know like how many Japanese athletes are like super crossover stars in the United States popular culture that a general audience would know who they are. Wrestling fans might know Onita, Muta, Antonio Inoki and the like. But if you start referencing all these guys in that situation, I'm like, you gotta slow that down, because the audience probably may not know who these people are. And although I'm listening to it and I know who these people are, I'm like, we've never seen them in AEW. Most American fans have probably never seen them. Don't reference it. Just don't do it. It's not a reference that's going to calculate with the audience immediately. So you're just kind of throwing references out for the sake of doing it to make yourself sound smart. Cut that out immediately. The match goes out to the floor. It's typical for these two guys. I'm not even I wrote a note. These guys have fought on the floor just as long as they've been in the ring. It's typical for both of them. And I laughed how Moxley went into the ring and then rolled back out. I'm like, really, you're breaking the count? That's hilarious. I've never seen a count out or a disqualification ever in AEW. It's like ECW 2020, because as far as countouts and DQs go, because there are none. They just don't exist, and I think that that's wrong, because sometimes you need the DQ finish as a means to get out of matches. You don't always need a clean finish, and this match could have actually benefited from having a DQ finish. I'm glad to see that Eddie Kingston was working this match on Dynamite. I really do. I'm kind of upset because I think that they could have done a lot more with this match, and I'll explain why. I love Eddie Kingston's chops. He's even though after Eddie Kingston hit Moxley with those ridiculously good-looking chops, the boot that he hit him with afterwards looked really horrible. Just looked bad. Then big clothesline by Mox. They go back out to the floor. Kingston doing a fantastic job of selling his back. I know that when he wrestled the match with Cody, he did such a good job of selling his leg. I thought he was actually hurt, so I wasn't going to buy it this time. But then Mox hits the pile driver. Kingston gets the ropes. Nicely done. I noticed here that Kingston has lost a lot of weight. Even when he wrestled the match against Cody, he still lost weight even between then and now. Like he's really working on getting himself healthier. So that's a good thing. And even when they were telling the story, I don't know how Kingston hurt his right hand, but he was telling a story like he kept shaking his hand when he's throwing the chops. I don't know if he hit him so hard that he was hurting his own hand, and they were kind of trying to tell that story. Then I just thought to myself, I was like, okay, so Moxley beats Kingston with a chokehold. and it's not even a sleeper or like a crossface. It was an actual chokehold. And the referee rings the bell, and I'm like, since when is that legal in professional wrestling? It's never been legal in professional wrestling.
Well,
it's a lousy finish. It's never been legal in pro wrestling. You can use MMA, whatever. That's a different world. It's never been legal in professional wrestling to use a chokehold, ever.
Yeah, but I think a sleeper is a chokehold.
No.
I think
sleeper holds.
People were dumb. People were dumb in the 80s, and they didn't know how to do a chokehold. But a sleeper is a chokehold. It is.
Well,
the reason a person falls to sleep is you're cutting off their damn artery.
Right. The arm goes here. The chin is under here. You see, when it's like right there, I'm gonna break my own arm here trying to demonstrate this. But
I think once MMA came into the picture, chokes kind of came into the picture. Now it'd be nice if someone explained it.
What?
I think chokes should be allowed. It's never been explained. You're right about that. And I think someone should take the time to explain what a choke is, if it's allowed or not, because it probably should be allowed now that we know all the different variations. A guillotine, we see guillotines. Taker's with the one with he's on his back and these are all chokes.
Well, but even then, the way that it looks, yes, you can say that they're all variations of a choke. But when you look at it, the way that it's executed and applied, it doesn't look as egregious as what Moxley did, basically putting him in the choke where his arm is clearly underneath Eddie Kingston's neck and throat, and he's wrenching back, and Eddie Kingston's like turning red and purple, before the referee rings the bell. Again, it's never been legal in professional wrestling. I can tell that there are variations of it. This one was just very egregious, and I'm like, no. I just thought that was silly. Then the Lucha Brothers appear. Where the hell were you guys during the course of this match? Call Heat. You could have been the Heaters. Help Eddie Kingston throughout the course of the match. They never showed up. They show up. Then Will Hobbs comes in, and he gets thwarted. Darby Allin then, clears the ring. Ricky Starks lays him. All right, it just became a freaking schmaz. I understand that with Archer being out due to COVID, he wasn't available, obviously. I don't know where Brian Cage was this week. Would I have booked the world title match on Dynamite without any advance notice? The answer is no. I wouldn't have booked it that way. I would have booked a six-man tag finish, a six-man tag match with the babyface team being the same, Moxley, Hobbs, and Darby. And then on the other side, I would have probably put the Lucha Brothers and Ricky Starks. Here's the reason why. One is because the Lucha Brothers could then be the Heaters and can kind of take the loss for the baby faces. You don't want Eddie Kingston in that match because the idea is that the baby faces would win, and then Eddie Kingston would jump in and lay Moxley out, so that the image that we got at the end of the show where Eddie Kingston has Moxley and he's just like holding him up and, you know, doing the whole heel heat thing, it makes more sense because now the baby faces, you didn't get your actual advertised 6-man match. And, you know, under the circumstances, I'd be like, listen, I'm not going to give him any heat for it. But you build then to a world title match to where, you know, Kingston can keep talking about, hey, he doesn't have to use the I didn't get eliminated from the Battle Royal excuse anymore. Now Moxley's going to want to get a piece of him because Kingston jumped him from behind. And Moxley's going to want to get his receipt. So then that whole, we don't need to use that silly Battle Royal nonsense anymore. You're able to utilize all the guys in the match. You could still give Will Hobbs a win on TV because he could beat Penta or Ray Phoenix. It doesn't matter. I know it's not Brian Cage, like I said last week, but under the circumstances, we'll live with what we got. I don't think that the world title match, I would have been okay with had Moxley won the match and then the Lucha Brothers come out and would have collected Eddie Kingston, and Eddie Kingston is talking smack, saying, you choked me, you cheated, and he walked away and just let it be like that. So like that there could be a bit of a continuation to where then Eddie Kingston can cut more promos if that would have been an alternative for that match. I don't like the fact that they had to schmoz everything up. We don't need the afterbirth. That was just too much, and I know they're trying to incorporate everything to kind of give the fans a semblance of what was supposed to be the main event. Although I think that this main event match that we got would have been better than the 6-man, was better than what the 6-man would have been. But still, I think that that's a match that you need to save, and I don't know that that was the right match to put on television and give that finish. That's the reason why I'm saying that you need to have the disqualification finish sometimes, because you got to be able to get out of matches gracefully. And this would have been a time where, again, with Moxley, it almost seems like a lot of Mox's matches, you need to find ways to get out gracefully because they keep putting guys in the ring with Moxley that they shouldn't come in there with so soon, because beating them is actually going to do more harm than good. Eddie Kingston's another example. He's a guy that, you know, under the circumstances, we understand what happened, but giving him a world title match, I don't know about that. I would have booked the 6-man tag differently. You know, it would have just been like, you know, Archer, it could have just been very Jake Roberts literally on the phone with Taz, cutting a promo on him and saying, this is what's going on. And then Eddie Kingston gets in and says, hey, brother, listen, I'll send my boys to get Mox, but here's the payment on the other side. Always with the thought that if Mox loses to Archer, then now Eddie Kingston will get a shot at the AEW title, because the heels are doing a favor for the other heels, but it's always, you know, they're always trying to do a favor, but because they know that they're getting something on the other side. So there's multiple ways to have booked that better. I would not have booked the world title match, as you know, it was what it was, but I think that they kind of wasted what could have been a really good main event match for the future. And, you know, under the circumstances, they kind of rushed it and gave it away to cover up for an unfortunate circumstance that they had with Lance Archer.
Like and subscribe, everyone.